Morning, girls. How we doing? We are back here again with Glitter and Lasers. This is from December in 2023. This is Surviving the Holidays. Tips for handling stress and negative feedback. A lot of you guys probably know that I actually never watched Glitter and Lasers before the running documentary thing she did earlier this year because I just thought it was ridiculous and I was looking for some content to film. So it was up when I was away on holiday. And just coincidentally, this ended up being what I filmed for it. And yeah, a lot of people have been asking. I go back and do some retro reacts, especially when I mentioned that I want to do get a filler content that I can kind of release anytime I'm away on holiday, which is coming up, New Year's time, and also when I want to have a bit of time off for Christmas, so I can just pop one of these up quickly. So I went back and I was like, you know what, I'll do some Christmas content, and I had a look and I saw the Surviving the Holidays guide from Anna, who can't even survive a luxury cruise without having to feature 5 different segments about her crying because she just loves to be a victim. So I'm like, God, that sounds great. The negative feedback thing just kind of seems odd. Surviving the Holidays, negative feedback, is that something you often get around Christmas time? But I had a wee look at the comment section, just a wee quick look, just to see what the context was. And apparently this is right after an infamous video where she had gone into Target and made a total klutz of herself. Everyone hated it, people criticized her, so I'm assuming she is butthurt about that, because she then had to delete the video, and I'm assuming this is her passive-aggressive video in response to that. I had a wee look to see if I could find that one, but I can't find it just yet. I'll have to have a wee look in Kiwi Farm, see if I can grab from there. So I guess let's get into it.
So the holiday season has kicked off, and while this is kind of kicking off one of the best times of year,
yep,
it is also simultaneously kicking off one of the worst.
Oh my God.
I think that
she is saying this so overly dramatically. It's obviously true. A lot of people find Christmas quite stressful because obviously it's a time for financial worries. It's a time for meeting some family that you might not always deal with, and it can lead to arguments and stuff. So what she's saying isn't unusual, but she's just saying in such a dramatic way.
While we all are celebrating family and just the joy that the holidays can bring, a lot of us, and myself included, are facing the fact that it is now darker outside, that maybe we feel more alone.
That's sad. I don't get the alone bit, because she just said it's time for hanging out with family and friends and stuff like that. So if you feel more alone at Christmas, I don't know, maybe that's a you problem, because I guess, Christmas is a time for it's great if you have a girlfriend or something like that you can hang out with and you go and see her family. I find Christmas for me is probably the time when I'm God, I'm going through my social battery really quickly here. And I quite like to have time to myself, which is why I like to take time away now and just I can record a video or something like that, because this doesn't affect my social battery whatsoever, and so does live streaming. It doesn't really affect me like that. So I totally disagree with that. It's maybe a you problem, man, if you don't have lots of friends or a girlfriend or something like that.
Or maybe we don't have the best family relationships. So yeah, it becomes this weird time of year where things are really great.
Looking at her, I'm just gonna assume she doesn't. Usually people who have this kind of body shape, they generally don't have great family relationships.
And things are also really, really shitty. And I've been thinking a lot about this recently. I've kind of been through the ringer in the past couple months. When I decided to change my life, I did not expect that so many people, and more specifically so many people close to me,
Merry Christmas, guys. I'm here to fucking moan at you,
would have such strong opinions about it. And that in a lot of ways,
what lifestyle change?
Choices I genuinely made to increase my ability to live, not for vanity, not for attention, not for any.
I'm assuming, okay, because she's being so weirdly cryptic and vague about it, I'm going to assume this is probably around the time, because I know she said during the running journey that she had been on a health and fitness journey for a while at that point. She had started and she had lost all this weight and she was doing so well in it, even though she couldn't jog, but she was doing great during her health and fitness journey. I'm assuming she's talking about that because I know there is a real stigma in the body positivity movement, which she is clearly a big part of, with any form of losing weight. So that's why she has to word it. It's I wasn't doing it for vanity reasons because I love me as me, even though she's a constantly miserable person. I'm assuming that's probably what she's going for here. She probably tried to go for the anti-body positivity thing of she's losing weight because it's just better in general, and you should try and do that, especially if you are someone of Anna's sheer size. And she probably got pushback from her own community.
Any other reasons then to just be able to do more things have been misconstrued and made into something they weren't. And it's really not the point of this video.
I'll tell you, I would start a happy Christmas video, Surviving the Holidays, tips for handling stress and negative feedback. Well, the problem with me is I am a fat influencer, and I decided to try and lose weight, and people weren't happy with that for some fucking reason.
Just trying to say I've been through some stuff, and it's taught me some things, and I thought it was kind of important with some.
She is very defensive compared to, like, usually, like, I criticize her for her overly fake, like, toxic positivity I've heard people refer to it as, where she is, like, ungodly bubbly, and she's trying to, like, bounce around the place and act like nothing bothers her, and she's the happiest person ever, until we need, like, the designated 5 crying scenes in every single video. But, like, this is a lot different. Like, her body language, even, is, like, kind of confrontational at times. It's kind of awkward at times. She's constantly putting her hands inside her pockets, taking them out again, putting them in again, over and over and over again.
Many of us facing like just a really tough time of year to just get in front of the camera, and maybe this will help some people, maybe it won't. I'm gonna be very real. I don't have a plan for this video.
What's this? Oh, well, that's a great start. What's this meant to help with, unless you're in the very specific niche market of Anna, who got a lot of shit for messing up a target because she's spoiled, and also criticizing, because I guess the target thing, if she's complaining here about being, like, picked on by the fat acceptance movement, I guess her target thing where she went in and apparently was, like, complaining loudly about them not being, like, fat acceptance enough, and was, like, reorganizing mannequins to try and make them look better based on her idea of what fat acceptance is. I'm assuming she probably acted out in the target video to try and win over the fat acceptance crowd again, and both sides, it blew up in her face.
It wasn't scripted. I don't have bullet points to follow. I don't have a list of things that are going to make it better, but I do have my own personal experience in dealing with just, like, a lot. And how
she is the ultimate victim. Also, your own personal experience of dealing with being a social media influencer with, like, I don't know, doesn't she have, like, 2 million subscribers or something? I can't even remember at this point. Like, that's very niche. Who are you meant to help with that? Well, if you guys are like me, as a fat acceptance person who wants to lose weight because I'm dying, this video is for you.
How I made it through. And maybe that will help someone else make it through. Or maybe it'll make you enjoy hate watching me more. Whichever one you are. I hope you enjoy this video.
Yay.
So the first thing that
This is also at 1.25 speed. Letting others shit me. Oh, fuck. Jesus, this is going to be a good one.
Kind of, like, really had to come to terms with in the last little while is, like, how much I allow other people's opinions to shape me. And I know, oh God, I know that on the internet, we love to say, like, just ignore it, girl. They're all haters. Haters are your...
I don't think people say that. Like, people just, like, I don't know, just ignore it if you disagree with it. Like, if you don't have, like, the ability to, like, read something and take, like, kind of take the positive, like, feedback that's being provided to you and ignore the rest of it. If you don't have that ability, you probably should just avoid it, because, like, this is the biggest problem with being, like, an influencer, is that you want to, like, influence people, as opposed to, like, me, who is, like, a potato, who wants to come online and say dumb things, and hopefully people enjoy that, and then that's it. If you don't enjoy it, that's cool. If you enjoy it, that's also cool. I don't really have much feeling either way, because that's just me. I'm very well used to the internet at this point. But for Anna, who's been doing the internet for far longer than me in this kind of concept, she has not got to that point, because she wants people to love her. She wants people to praise her. She wants to be seen as an influencer. She wants to be seen as a social icon. And because people don't agree with that, that really breaks down her image of herself, which is where she's putting her self-worth. Whilst I think if you're a bit more like me, when you're just here going, like, I'm making videos, hopefully people like them. If they don't, that's cool. If they do, that's also cool. But that's not her. That's not her. She needs the love and the respect.
Your secret motivators and all of this stuff. And I get it. I get we want to be positive about what is really a bad situation. But for me,
what's a bad situation?
What I've really had to do personally is, like, just detach from that world. So
yeah, imagine just don't read comments if you're going to get upset about comments. She is being so vague. Like, this is why, like, I know that she's not good at handling feedback. If she can't even mention what the feedback is or what the issue was,
rather than turning into it, I don't let those things become any part of my personal narrative.
Clearly.
No choice I've made in my life is because somebody else told me I should. And I think it's really, really important, because
that's really stupid, actually, because, like, you're someone who's, like, incredibly unfit and, like, dying. Maybe you should take, like, constructive criticism. Maybe you should listen to people. But at the same time, if you are, like, a weird kind of narcissist person, usually they have also some kind of what is it called? It's the issue that is with authority, that if someone tells you to do something, you will just want to do the other thing, because you just assume you're smarter and you're better than people, and you do not like people telling you what to do because you consider them beneath you.
And at the end of the day, when I question the choices I've made, I'm sitting alone with myself, and I have to acknowledge my choices and my decisions.
Yeah, but you're not an expert on, like, most of the stuff you're talking about, so your opinion on yourself also doesn't... It's why people go to therapy, because people like to think they know themselves, but oftentimes they don't really know themselves, and that's why they go to therapy, because like they're talking to an expert. He's like, look, I realize you think that you're amazing and the best person ever, and everyone else is stupid compared to you. However, have you ever considered that is literally the opposite of what's true? But for others, you can't do that. It's like, well, I have sat down and I have just considered my own feelings and my own thoughts and things. It's like, yeah, but if your own feelings and thoughts and things are wrong, then you will stay wrong.
And there's nowhere to place the blame. And I think as we go into the holiday seasons, a lot of people like to talk about bodies, whether they think you've done a good job or a bad job, whether they think the choices you make.
Do they? Maybe it's just me, but I don't experience that. I don't go to family get-togethers. I don't go and hang out with the girlfriend's family. I don't go hang out with friends after work and have a wee Christmas do. I don't, and we always go like, so let's discuss weight loss. Let's go around the circle here. Let's talk about what we think we can improve on each other's bodies. And we've weirdly never. It's almost like you're talking about your very, very, very weird, very specific bubble, and that's also why you shouldn't sit down and consider your own thoughts, because you're living in such a weirdly viewed like world. Like everything you're viewing is through this bubble of like fat acceptance or your size or something like that. Maybe you should look at it as like Christmas and have fun.
Making are good and bad. Like, I never thought that I would be the type of person that would be facing questions about my health choices that weren't related to me being just too fat, right? I thought that my life, for the rest of my life, was going to be showing up at holiday functions and having a slightly older generation ask me why the hell I was so fat, and that I would be so pretty and easily married if I just lost a couple pounds. And
I really am not even getting what because she's so unable to like mention the issue that I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, what other health condition is there that you, for some reason, can't mention? And also, I'm just going to say, I'm very distracted about you having that top button in. I don't know why. It looks uncomfortable. I don't know why we're buttoned so high up. Like, this seems like, because it's such a big, flumpy, like, loose shirt that is, like, you know, sheer, it's like see-through, it would feel like you could even unbutton it all the way down to there, and it wouldn't like be like considered like scandalous or anything like that. It would also just look more comfortable and also kind of give more of a casual vibe, which I think most people want to give when they're talking on YouTube, because it's not like this. I feel this shouldn't be this serious because it just seems like a big moan sesh from her.
I've endured that for years. I've actually become quite comfortable with it. I know how to be sassy and move on from it, but I never thought that I would be in a situation where it was kind of the opposite with, you're losing weight, you're using a medication. How the hell do you think that that's the right choice? I'm disappointed.
Okay, so this is to do with like the semaglutide, Ozempic, that kind of dealio thing, which is obviously getting really big around that time. I think from like most people would not care if you are losing weight like that, because I just don't care. Like I've heard people, but it's always weird. It's always from people like Anna or Foodie or Amber Lynn who come out and say, people are saying I'm cheating, but I never see anyone actually saying that. I always see the fat person complaining that they won't do it because people are going to bully them for doing it and claiming that they're cheating and it doesn't count. But I've never actually seen anyone say that. Maybe I am totally wrong. Maybe that is something that happens all over the place. But I've personally never actually seen that side of it. I always see people using it as an excuse as why they don't do it is because they know they'll be judged for it, even though I think most people really don't care. Like, really, really just do not care. The only people I think would possibly care about it are the fat acceptance people, because they don't want you to lose weight. Because if you lose weight, then it kind of takes down their entire narrative.
Disappointed in you. Why do you just want to be attractive? And believe it or not, that conversation has happened in my personal life. It's also happened on the internet. It's been enlightening in a couple ways, because it's taught me that no matter how you show up, no matter what body you're in, no matter what choices you're making, there is always going to be someone, whether in your family or in the internet, who doesn't like the choices you've made.
This is such like I said, this is such a niche video, because like this is not something I have ever dealt with in my personal life. Like ever. Even when I was like a lot younger and put on a bit of weight, I met people who I hadn't seen in the ages who knew me as like really, really big into rugby, and I put on a bunch of weight and lost a bunch of muscle. And at no point were they like, potato man, getting very fat there. Have you tried the old Ozempic? No, I never had that. And then when I lost the whole weight again, I never had them being like, did you cheat? Did you have the I've never had that, like, at all. Like, ever. I'm sorry, I'm not getting this. I feel like you're really kind of making yourself the main character here. You're acting like everyone experiences the world in a very weird, very specific niche that you do.
I've firmly been on both sides of the coin, and I can tell you that I have been equally insulted for both. And I am never doing anything right.
Yep.
To people.
Maybe you just aren't. doing things right, though. Maybe it's a you problem. Maybe if you bounce between several communities and every single community thinks you're the bad person, maybe you are the bad person. Like, I don't, especially when you come in with this kind of like accusatory attitude that everyone is evil and also wrong about you and you're the only judge of you. However, you're also very upset about people judging you.
People who like to have these conversations, I am never doing anything right. And I've accepted that. I am never going to do anything right.
Clearly.
Because this isn't for them. It's for me. And so...
Well, I'm glad we had the last 4 minutes and 35 seconds of you just not being bothered by that.
Relating this back to holidays is that when you go home, I think a lot of us try to find common ground. But I think at the end of the day, your goal shouldn't be to convince somebody that the choices you've made are right. Because
what conversations are you guys having over the dinner table? What bro? I don't. Maybe talk about Muppets Christmas Carol. Maybe talk about, I don't know, your favorite Christmas movie. Maybe pull a cracker and make a really bad dad joke or something like that. Do you guys sit down in a circle and chant with Ozempic?
That is a losing game. That takes away your power and that validates what somebody else has said to you as being more important than what you say to yourself. Instead...
It often is, though. This is such like a spoiled brat mentality. And like I said, narcissistic personality thing. It's validating what they think over what you think. Yeah, they might be right. You should always go into every situation realizing that you might be wrong and the other person might be right. I've never sat down and self-reflected where my argument is, well, whatever I feel about myself is the correct thing. I am not wrong because I literally can't be wrong because that other person isn't me, and as such, I am always right about myself. There are experts in shit for a reason. I can't build a staircase and then the second someone walks and falls through it and go like, bro, what the hell? This staircase was poorly built. Like, actually, I feel that I built it correctly. And as I feel that I built it correctly, I did build it correctly. I feel like you probably just used it incorrectly.
And what I've learned is that I just need to remind myself why I made the choices I made so that when someone calls them into question, I still feel confident in them. I don't expect that other person to change. I don't expect them to...
Well, but you should be able to like argue your points in such a way that people can understand your opinions on it, though. If you feel this strongly about it, if you don't care, you should be like, all right, whatever. That's it. You should just move on. You shouldn't really dwell on it. You shouldn't have to make a 12-minute video complaining about how you're a victim. But like, if you really are just going into it like that, you should also be able to argue your point and why you feel that this is the right thing for you. And be able to like back it up in some way to be able to convince other people of it. Because surely if it is such a blatantly obvious right thing, then it should be able to convince people. However, also taking the fact that you're in a weird bubble that people may not ever agree with you because they just may not ever agree with you.
You suddenly show up after several years of consistently having conversations with me about choices in my life to change their perspective. And I also certainly don't expect that now I've changed some of my habits that that's going to be enough for them or that it's done in the right way, because that person entered the conversation looking for something wrong.
Or you know what is so ironic about that? You literally just did that. You literally just entered that conversation with that person looking for something wrong because you've immediately put a negative idea into their head. You've immediately said, this person's approaching this conversation wrong. This person wants to like destroy me or insult me or make fun of me or bruise me. It really shows your victim mentality here. Like, Anna, you know what? They might just be curious. You know, they might be curious. They might not be as knowledgeable, especially if you apparently have looked into it the way you're claiming you've looked into it. Like, it's so weird to just assume everyone is stupider than you, doesn't understand things as well as you do, and are also trying to mess with you personally.
And when you are looking for something wrong, you will find something because guess what? We are imperfect. And sometimes that's just a person's MO. It doesn't necessarily make them a bad person. I think we're quick to polarize situations, especially...
You literally did just do that. Like, very literally. You just did that about this random straw man that you're talking about, who's going to materialize at your Christmas dinner and call you fat, but also complain about Ozempic.
When we talk about like older generation, I think there's things that are just ingrained in the culture.
And suddenly it's just old people's fault, I guess.
Especially, you know, with family, right? And what I've learned is that all of the strength I need to get through these types of situations really just come from me. So when
or you could get it from others, you could get it from therapy, you could get it from like a good support network, you could get it from a vast number of things that aren't you. You are not the main character in literally everything you do.
Go somewhere where I know I'm going to be faced with some discussion, or even when I post something online like this video, I'm sure we'll have some choice reactions.
Yep.
I think about why I'm doing it and whether it's worth the fight. Now, the reason I'm sharing this is because I feel like there's probably a lot of other people out there who feel the same.
I feel like you're doing it because you want to condescend to people and you're really upset about negative criticism that you receive and for like the target video, for like the fat acceptance crowd not liking that you're on like the Ozempic or whatever it is. I feel like you're annoyed and you want to come out and you want to spit in their face, but you want to do it in a way where you're trying to like hide it. You're like, you know, throwing a punch, then hiding your hands. You're doing that thing. Because you're trying to act like you're doing this to help people, when really it is just you getting all the bitterness off your chest.
Same way I feel. Who've like been through the ringer, who've tried to make better choices for themselves,
Who
maybe are finally having success, who maybe haven't had success, maybe they haven't succeeded in the way they want. Whatever it is, they're going into a situation where they know that people are going to have some freaking opinions and they don't want to hear them. And they may not feel strong enough to take them on. And I think...
Well, they don't have to take them on. Maybe they could just say, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this, Uncle John, and then move on with their lives. I'm sorry, I really just don't get it. But like, I don't know. I'm just not as thin-skinned as that. I think that is a big part of it, is I'm just not very thin-skinned in general. So when she's coming on and just fucking whining about what other people think, it's like, why do you care? Especially if you're trying to pretend to me that only your opinion matters to you and you have totally reconciled that within your soul and that's how you actually feel. Clearly not, if you're this upset about it.
I just want to remind them that the power lies within them, right? I want to remind you that you can only control you. You cannot control your mom. You cannot control your dad. You cannot control your weird uncle. You cannot control people on the internet.
How come it's always a weird uncle? Because I used uncle as an example too. How come it's always a weird uncle?
And the more you try, the more you're going to fail, because those people have chosen to not play nice. And they're just...
So you're literally, she started off by pretty much making that claim. The people coming into it are all coming into it with immediate negative perceptions, who are doing it deliberately to mess with her, who don't want to learn because she's always right and they're always wrong, you know, because that's the thing. They need to learn that she is correct and that they are in fact wrong. That is just her, or she's coming into every argument, but then saying, but she doesn't want to polarize people and not think that people are just being bad for the bad sake. But then immediately goes back to it, that anyone who comes in is in any way negative of you are doing it because they are just like bad people who want to be negative about you. Even though she is the only one so far in this entire story who's in any way being negative and judgmental about other people.
Just not going to change.
I think
we often think people change, like, with a good conversation.
It's so crazy when I tell them that they need to just listen to me and I am always right. For some reason, these fucking freaks, they don't just realize that I'm always right. Always. I am always right, and they are always. So why won't they learn that I am always correct? That's how she's coming across. That she is just like mind-blowing that anyone doesn't think that she is right about everything.
And I don't know where that lie got perpetuated or shared, but it's not a conversation that changes people. It's long and consistent, you know, conversations and exposure to all sorts of things. So the best thing you can do to change their opinion is not to sit down and talk to them about it, but to be a living example of what they think is wrong.
But you are a living example of like a negative stereotype of fat people. That's the biggest problem with Anna. It's the biggest problem of what we've seen with Glitter and Lasers is that she is so fake. She is like clearly a bad example. She's trying to get like ass pats for kind of being able to kind of fast walk like 5 kilometers, and she thinks she wanted like a Netflix documentary series to be built around her, even though at the same time she is constantly boasting about how she knows her body better than anyone else, and she's been doing a year-long fitness journey, and she's lost all this weight, and she's doing incredible, and that she goes out running and walking every single day, but then suddenly it turns around and be like, oh, by the way, I literally don't even know how to jog, and also I did a time where you could probably like worm it faster, but she wanted praise for that. That's you thinking that you are better than you are. Maybe you should just like take a step back and be like, you know what, actually, maybe I'm not as cool and awesome and amazing as I think I am. Maybe I should just listen to other people. This is not how I thought this video was going to go. I thought this was going to be like surviving the holidays tips. I thought it was going to be like funny tips, things you could say, things you could do, you know, make sure you do this, make sure you have this available, you know, something like that. I thought it was going to be in her usual goofy style, as opposed to her just genuinely being ass blasted and being like really passive aggressive about how she's the greatest person who's ever existed, and everyone else is just wrong. But then if she ever watched this video and she heard this criticism, her head would be like, oh, not potato guy. He came in wanting to hit me in because he thinks he's always right, and I'm definitely right in this situation. It's like, I could be wrong. That's the thing. I could entirely be wrong. There could be context that I'm not aware of because I'm picking this video out at random. But the way she's coming across is she 100% thinks that everyone should just shut the fuck up and listen to her because she is right about herself, even though she got herself in this position. So clearly she doesn't know herself as well as she thinks she does.
And again, they may never change their opinion, But when you're waiting for them to, in order for you to feel comfortable, it's just an unrealistic expectation. So what do you do when something actually gets stressful?
Eat! You eat! You'd certainly not like that joke, but it's honest. Why she's where she is right now is she can't deal with stress because she can't deal with other people having different opinions from her, so she eats.
This is like a lot to ask yourself to just like be okay with whatever these people say about you, knowing you can't change them. I learned this trick a couple of years.
This is so weird because I keep checking the time because it is 1.25 speed, and it feels like she is going in actual slow motion here, and it's kind of weird because it's so unlike all our other videos with the fake positivity and everything. It feels quiet, you know, because there's no background noise whatsoever, and you can hear like her big intakes of breath, and it just feels awkward.
Years ago, and it definitely changed the way I interact with other people, from people I'm close with to people I'm not close at all. You don't have to give anybody time.
Yep.
I have more than once removed myself from situations, from parties that don't feel comfortable, from places I don't want to be.
Do you want a cookie for like base level social awareness? Do you like? Yeah, you can leave a party if you're not enjoying it. You don't have to stay out in the night out if you're not enjoying it. You don't have to hang out with someone you don't like. But like, it all still comes back to the fact that this is all. It's not because you're actually unhappy or not liking the situation. It's because you feel that you're right, and you feel that everyone should just accept that you're right, and that seems to be it.
For me, even my own parents. Sometimes my dad, as much as I love him, our parents always sometimes say the wrong thing. It's just being a parent. And sometimes that's not a conversation that's needed, but space. So I think one of the things that's really helped me is starting to understand how I process hurt and what I'm
going to assume with food, and then convincing yourself that you were actually right the whole time. And I shouldn't actually be upset about this. I'm right. That person's wrong. You know, it's like, is it? What was the Simpsons quote? Am I out of touch? Or no, it's the children who are out of touch. It's literally just that.
I need to overcome hurt because I know I'm going to have some hurt. What do I need to do to be able to recover from it? Because again, I can't count on the other person to make the changes. It's not a realistic expectation.
It's not realistic to expect them to make the changes to align with my worldview.
Make it fair, by the way. I just want to be very clear. That does not make it fair. But at the end of the day, the only person you can count on in these situations is yourself. So before you get yourself into a situation that makes you feel uncomfortable or that you know is going to be emotionally taxing, prepare yourself. Know what you need to recover. And as soon as you feel that hurt, as soon as you feel that upset, engage in your plan.
I'm just maybe it's just me, and I am a total freak, and I accept that one as well. But like, goddamn, I find it so weird that this is how she views having to like interact with people, like just people in general. Like her Christmas is like this, like it's like a survival guide. It's like she's telling people what to expect going into Vietnam. That is like the level of seriousness she's putting on this, and it's like, bro, you're just going to have Christmas dinner. And you're telling people to have like coping strategies set up in place and all in case someone says something that slightly doesn't align with your worldview, and then you're going to have an absolute fucking meltdown. It's like, I feel like it shouldn't be this serious. And if you have such difficult time interacting with normal humans in general, you really should be doing therapy.
Do what you need to do to get back to your good place, because the answer does not have to be continuing to endure it. You can step away, you can come back. And sometimes, as hard as this like answer is, sometimes it's just staying away. Sometimes people just aren't good for you and they shouldn't be in your life. And Jesus. I will tell you, I am the worst at learning this lesson. I have let certain people repeatedly back into my life who have hurt me.
Oh my God. She's just consistently the victim. Maybe you've hurt them as well. Maybe you've hurt them with this unrealistic expectation you have of everyone that they should. Because I know she would argue the point. It's like, well, no, I said I'm not expecting everyone to change. No, but you want them to. That's the weird thing about it, is that you don't want there to be pushback. You don't want there to be disagreement. I have had friends like who are just totally opposite me, like genuinely is really, really opposite, especially when I was younger, especially when I was a little bit more into politics. And people know I don't do politics now because it's just stupid and I just don't care. But like, I had friends who were like the exact opposite of like anything I would ever feel about anything. And do you know what? We were still friends. We were still able to engage. If it came up to a conversation about something like that, there might be like an argument, but then we just kind of like, all right, whatever. And then we just kind of do what we were doing. You know, you can be friends with people who are just like vastly different to you, but she really is just working off this assumption that the only people she can possibly get on with are people who are exactly like her and agree with everything she says. And the fact that she doesn't say this out loud and go like, you know what, maybe I'm the problem here, is so creepy to me.
And I've, really made it their goal to tear me down And it has taken a lot of time and a lot of therapy to like fix that. But that's
clearly not, because you're not fixed in any way. This is still how you view the world.
what I do. I go into the holidays with a plan. I accept that I can't change people. And when something goes a little bit off, I just initiate that plan and I GTFO. For me, I like to hide. That's my goal. I like to be hide.
Maybe you should lose a lot of weight. You can hide easier. I don't know what. It's been so fucking dry. I needed to slip on a fat joke somewhere. God damn it. Like the second anything goes slightly wrong, I immediately run away. Wow. Fuck. I'm glad that therapy really worked out well for you when your plan is, if anything happens that is in no way good to me, I immediately flee.
Hide. And if I'm quiet, you know something's wrong because I am not a quiet girl. I just wanted to take like a couple minutes and get on here and just empower you to know that you are the best.
Where's the empowerment?
Expert on you.
You're not. Do you know what? Do you know what? My therapist would be the best expert on me. My doctor would be the best expert on me. Someone who like knows me really well, possibly might know me better than I do in certain situations, especially situations where emotions are high, because they're looking at me from the outside and they might see something, they might know something's going to come or going to happen, and they might be able to know how to react because they know me, so they know what they could say to help me and stuff like that. I guess this really does depend on, like, I guess your personality type, because, like, I guess it really even argues the introvert extrovert here, but I am disagreeing with like everything she's saying, because her argument is that she is correct and knows everything and is right about everything to do with her, when I look at it entirely the opposite, that I realize full well that I could be being stupid and I hope someone corrects me, or I realize that in my emotional state when I do something, I might be acting poorly because I'm reacting with emotion as opposed to like with logical thought, and someone being detached from that situation or the situation that's making me emotional, they might be able to give me actual, like, real advice. I don't know. I can only compare it to, like, you know, like, when Goober died. Because when Goober died, I was, like, you know, really fucking caught up about it, obviously. And it took people, like, to tell me, like, things, to talk to me about it. People who knew me, who knew Goober, who knew the situation, that they were able to, like, kind of correct my attitude about certain things that were going on with it, where I wanted to say, well, if only I thought about this or done this or something like that, where they was like, no, you know, you did what you needed to do. You could you think about it rationally? Could you have possibly expected that to happen? And they were right. Like, I couldn't, but I was thinking in an emotional state, so obviously I was wrong because I was thinking purely with emotions as opposed to logic. And it's just like, no, I'm right. That's it. No, I'm right. I'd win.
And during the holiday season, I think people question who we are more and more and more.
Do they?
And I just want you to know to lean into what you know about yourself and allow yourself to enjoy the amazing parts of the holidays.
But what if you don't know yourself and as such you became someone like Anna?
But also acknowledge when things are hurting and move on from them. I think some things never get better. And I hate to say that, but they don't.
Merry Christmas! She is fucking miserable. So this is what she's like when the fakeness of her toxic positivity crumbles. This is actually who she is. She is dark, she is negative, she's spiteful, she's judgmental, she hates people. Wow. Imagine this being your Christmas message to people, is that a lot of people are just shit and awful, but you're the best person in the world and you're always right about everything, and everyone else is wrong about you because you're right about you.
But knowing that and having a plan to deal with them allows it to be that you can get better. And again, at the end of the day, that's the only thing you can control. I don't know if this video was helpful. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not an expert. I do have a master's degree in quantitative methods in the social science.
Why are you so bad at everything? That doesn't make any sense. If you have some kind of knowledge about this, why are you so bad at everything you say? All of your advice there is fucking terrible. It just is. I'm genuinely stunned. But like, you could have a doctorate in literally 52 fields that are all specialist on just this. And I'm talking about someone like Anna specifically. But if you look at everything through the lens of being a perpetual victim, you look at it through the lens of, you're right, just because it's you're you, obviously, so that just automatically means you are right, and everyone else is wrong because they're not you, so obviously they can't be right because you're right, because you're just you, so you're always right, then no matter how much studying or research you do, it will not make any difference. This is why she needs therapy.
Sciences, which is essentially the academic study of sociology, so I do know a little bit about what I'm talking about.
Clearly
but I'm definitely not a pro expert, so this is just what I do. This is my perspective. This is what has helped me. And especially at a time when people have had a lot to say about my choices, this is what's helped me through. Focusing on what
you made this video. You clearly are not dealing with the criticism very well.
What I can do my choices, my thoughts, my feelings, and really letting go of trying to control what anybody else thinks or says about me or to me. Because frankly, at the end of the day, I will never be able to control that, and it's not worth my time. Whew.
Cool.
Well, I hope all of you have a wonderful holiday season.
I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season after I told you that literally everyone in your life is fucking Hitler. What the fuck? I was sitting there going like, oh, you know what, this could be a fun one, because I want to do some more retro reacts for Anna. And I was like, you know what, is her name Anna or Anna? I've been calling her Anna. I'm going to stick with Anna. I don't care if I'm right or wrong, because I'm a terrible person. She's always right and I'm always wrong. So I'm just going to stick with Anna. But like, I don't know. I was thinking, God, this could be a fun one-time release for Christmas, because it's the holidays. And I was like, God, I don't want to fucking like make everyone sad. This is miserable.
I am going to go take some time to sit and think, because this has got a lot of things going in my head right now. As these
and I have to sit down and think about how right I am about everything I just said, and how wrong everyone in the comments will be, because they're not me. They can't possibly be right.
Conversations tend to do. So with that, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I'll check you later. And
God, it's so depressing. What? I wasn't expecting that. I really wasn't. That was a weird experience, because I thought everything was going to be a bit lighthearted and a bit goofy and a bit fun. But damn, that was... God, go to therapy, bro. Alright, well, that's going to be it. I don't know when I'm uploading this, because like I said, I'm not sure if this is a full one to upload around Christmas, because, like, this is just miserable. So whenever I upload this, I hope you have a nice Christmas, or had a nice Christmas. I hope you have a good New Year, or had a good New Year. Whatever this one kind of creeps out, guys. I hope you all aren't super sad and realizing how wrong you are and how Anna's right about everything and you're all stupid. Have a good one, guys. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.